All right, how's everybody doing today? Today's what, March 31st. So I just want to cover a couple things here real quick. I did a video not too long ago and I mentioned this video that was going around YouTube and other social media things involving Obama. And so the reason that was important, nothing happened, right? We talk about that. Reason that was important was, okay, so a while ago in another video I talked about going from the Trump to Biden and oh, this pen don't even work, going from Trump to Biden and back, okay? And Biden was the AI president, got us into the Skynet war, right? In the Ukraine, you got a bunch of drones killing soldiers on the ground. There's your, Terminator movies, your Universal Soldier movies playing out, blah, blah, blah. Okay, so, but why is that important? So, in a video I did here recently, I talked about the three tents, right? 1, 2, 3. There was one for Elijah, one for Noah, and one for Jesus, right? Which is why I'm coming back to this thing. Okay, and so there's a couple things playing out here. So, okay, so the Elijah temple, tent, dome, whatever you want to call it. So when we went from Trump to Biden and then back to Trump, remember, time's moving forward in reverse. So as we moved forward from the Trump election to this date right here, when he left the temple, that concluded that timeline. Does that make sense? Just like I was watching the Nimitz. That was the conclusion because it started with the anomaly everybody was tracking on the Atlantic last year. Remember, coming up out of Antarctica, and I've said for a long time that Noah's Ark is probably a UFO buried under the ice in Antarctica. Right or wrong. See, and that's the whole thing about this reality. Everybody's got to be right or they're wrong. This is just an opinion, but it seems to match up. So anyway, so the anomaly forming in the Atlantic last year, moving all the way up the coast to New York, and now we had the Nimitz going the other way back towards, it's another boat, right? Noah's Ark symbology. Like and it wasn't, just like this video right here wasn't a well publicized event. Okay, the Nimitz wasn't a well publicized event. It's the old distraction thing. Look over here while things are playing out over there, kind of thing. So that concluded the second dome. Whatever remnant of the timeline was left to correct through this walk, we got to the end. So we've cleared the Elijah dome, we've cleared the Noah dome. All we have to do is clear the Jesus dome, which is why some people, I think, are looking at his death, Trump's death. Remember, I told you he's the one, and people disagree with this all the time. Some people agree with it. It doesn't matter. It's not, again, it's not about being right or wrong. It's about being authentic. And this is just telling the truth how I see it. And that's why I think a lot of people are expecting him to kick the bucket, because that would conclude that timeline. But none of these other people kick the bucket either. That's part of that predictive programming that's in everything. It's not that's too well known and too well watched for. It's going to be a subtle event like this thing over here. And it could very well be a simple case of all the drones showing up over our military all of a sudden. That's been in the news pretty hard. It may be something as simple as that. Because the other thing we have going on, April 1st, we're going back to the Artemis rocket, the twin to Apollo. We're already on the moon. I don't think we're going there again. Oh, and this is in here because, you know, this very well could be where you live. I just hate to tell you. But the other reason I bring up that is because on the 1st, we have this pink full moon. That's tomorrow when they're supposed to be launching Artemis. And going back to the IPAC GOAT 2 thing that people talk about, there's this scene right here. To me, that, you know, that's like a New Year's type symbology with all the fireworks, which would be the 1st. And somewhere else in that, it shows this guy lifting off the ground to the full moon. So, like I said, the stuff that's playing out with Artemis, we could be looking at the beginning, so this would denote the end. The beginning is the end. But if that was the first event to play out, then that'll be the last event we see, is this little sun-grazing comet. You know, if the first thing that happened was our sun was taken out to create the black hole, which I suspect happened, then we may have to go to that actual 405 event. You know, wherever I had it in here now. I'm sorry. Yeah, I lost it already. But, you know, the thing with the Men in Black 3, because that was the other thing. Here we go. That was the other thing, too. So, you know, this is an elevator door behind him going up, right? So they may be telling us this is when this dome gets completed, is on April 5th. I'm not a big stellarium guy, but I know there are people who watch stellarium, and there's a lot of events going on in the heavens, so to speak, on this same day, the 5th. So in an elevator, this would be the ground floor, or ground zero, since we like talking about nuclear events these days. So I'm not sure if April 5th is going to be ground zero, or like I said, if that's just some more symbology playing, leading us into the future, so to speak, when all we need to do is, you know, get to the fireworks. So, and this has been in here. I've talked about this before. I'm going to show you a couple things quick, how this explains your whole reality. So if you look at the perfect circle on the outside, right? And I've said before, you could look at this as, you know, divine feminine, divine masculine. They're both contained inside the original unit. Okay? Inside the male, you have a little feminine. Inside the feminine, you have a little male. This also works for both sides of the earth, the sunlit side and the dark side. On the dark side, there's still always a little light. We call it the moon and the stars. On the sun side, there's still always a little dark. We call it the shadow and the shades. This is also as above, so below. It also shows the vortices coming together in the center here in that circle. This vortice, that vortice, which would be right here, right here. This kind of summarizes everything we are right here. I know it's a very popular symbol, been around for a very long time, but it has a whole lot of symbology in itself. I just wanted to throw that out there real quick since I strolled past it, and I've shown this one before. Energetically, this is the kind of reality we live in balance. But anyway, I just wanted to cover those couple dates that are coming up, show the completion of the timelines that happened. So we're on the last one. It could have already been completed. Tonight could be the night, or we might have to wait till the 5th, which again goes back to the 2032 date that we're jumping forward to, supposedly. We're not going to that date. It's all symbolic. It's part of the story. But that could be where you get 2 extra days added in, like I was talking about in a video not too long ago. So we go from the 6th day, to the 8th day, that 8th day, remember? I've talked about, the Bible talks about the great eighth day. And I actually looked that up, and appears specifically around 10 times in the Bible. That's one time for each loop that we go through here. It doesn't say 10 times. I'm not even sure if we have to get to that last 10th, 8th day, because it's only about 10 times that it's mentioned in the Bible. So there's just some thoughts. Like I said, it could go down tonight. It could go down on the 5th, or, the 6th. Who knows? Because this event, where he left the stage, where Noah left the stage, and where Trump leaves the stage, is probably going to be a very insignificant, nothing kind of event that we waltz right through. And or he may die. I don't know. I don't have a crystal ball. I just see the things that I see. All right, everybody, it's been long enough. I love you all. Talk to you later. Bye-bye.